Saqib. Please begin.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. People at the end, if you can please get seated. We would like to start the panel. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come through quite a big panel this morning, and there was a lot of discussion on different topics. Some of the topics that I have noted, and some of the discussion points were Pakistan's biggest problem is population. Climate change is definitely impacting us. Exports must be increased. There is no way out. AI, digital divide, that is the key direction to move forward. Youth of Pakistan, are they skilled or not skilled? What we have to do with them? Are we over-taxation there? Are we over-regulated today? Or we need to have the services exports, which should be more than our overall industrial exports as well. There is a lot of topics, and in any of these events when we sit today, these topics keep on coming and going. And I think there's a lot of discussions, but what is missing today is about execution. I think we come in these policy documents, we come into these policy discussions, and we start talking about the same topics. We understand what are the reasons of these topics as well, but where we don't go and digest is what we have to do to get that thing rolling, how it has to be fixed. And that's what we will be doing today in this panel when we talk about the bridging the gaps through the digital divide. Everybody is talking about digital is the way to move forward. We in this country are getting more and more into this digital direction that we are talking today. The tools and the definitions of the digital are increasing day by day. The companies are coming up with daily new digital reactions, actions, and tools just to make sure that we are able to take into account our personal and private and professional lives into the next phase as well. We have very two esteemed guests as of in the stage today. Aamir needs no introduction. If I have to give his introduction, then we have an issue. And Mujib is one of the more diligent, I will say, the new dynamic CEOs of today that has been taking into consideration, especially the youth of today and how his company is able to make an impact on that digital divide as well. So thank you very much to be part of the panel as well. Aamir, you are on the left. I will start with you first. I'm hearing you a lot these days and all the discussions about cashless and digital economy. And there's a lot of talk about how especially you in your personal capacity and Jazz as its brand is making an impact, and how this banking, these fintechs, and all these angles are coming together as one window. And what are the top three things that you feel are important to get that cashless economy more in the market? And also, what are the three barriers that are stopping you at this point of time to make it better?
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. It's still morning. Let me start with the first point that you made about execution. I think we all recognize what needs to be done. Why do we need to do it? But I think where we fall short is the execution. Who's going to do it and when? And based on my conversations with the government over the last year and a half, we've been talking about one of the things that we need is to really raise our tax to GDP ratio. But at the same time, we also recognize that half of the economy is undocumented. So this cashless economy, which is perhaps not necessarily a very good name, like it can have a different interpretation also. Let's just call it digital economy. The whole purpose of the digital economy was to first start documenting, right? When you document, you have the opportunity to demand, which is taxes. At a retail level, almost about 90–95% of our economy is undocumented. So that was one of the first proposals that I had taken, and then the Prime Minister graciously actually not only took it seriously, but also decided to chair this particular meeting and committee himself. And it's a cross-functional committee which has got not only the private sector, but it has also got all the relevant stakeholders, including the central bank governor, FPR, Minister of Finance, Minister of IT, NADRA, PTA. So all the key stakeholders are involved in that discussion. It happens almost every 2 weeks. And it has got some very concrete objectives about what we want to achieve by June 2026. So we're already 6 months into this program. And we've had, I would say, reasonable success. I wouldn't call it an A+, but it's not also a C. So we're there, slowly and surely we are moving ahead. What are we trying to achieve? What we're trying to achieve is that we should declare a war on cash, because when a transaction is not digitized, it leaves no digital fingerprints. One of the best and the biggest benefits of anything digital is that it allows you to see where the transaction originated and where it ended. And once you start doing that, you have the opportunity not only to get rid of the AML and CFT risks, but also eventually bring it into the remit of taxation. Now, that's not the primary purpose from my perspective. I think the first thing is really about convenience. We have to take the cash out of where it resides right now under the pillows into the digital wallets. And everybody over here is now completely concerned and almost obsessed that we now need to bring in the legal interventions. When you ask me about one of the top 2 or 3 things that we need to do, we have to mandate digital acceptance at all retail. So cash is obviously accepted, but we are now at the back of RAST trying to enforce that a RAST QR is accepted at every single retail. No, people have a choice not to use it, but it should be available. So one of the key goals is that by the end of this fiscal year, which is June 2026, close to about 2 million of Pakistani merchants should be able to accept RAST payments. And we have seen a rapid increase on the usage of this particular thing, and all the stakeholders over here are completely committed. So that was number 1. Number 2, so this is the supply side. At the demand side also, what we're doing is we're trying to open more and more wallets, which are technically speaking bank accounts, for the bottom of the pyramid and the middle of the pyramid. Banking has done a great job up to this point, but perhaps the masses have been ignored. So the second emphasis is on the push to make sure that accounts and digital wallets are opened everywhere. And the third key pillar of this committee also is that the government is also a very big business in terms of writing checks and receiving payments. So there is a dedicated subcommittee which is forcing all the government entities to get rid of cash, even if they're sending a check, and to start sending money directly to people's bank accounts. And whenever they have to accept a payment, it has to be digitally done. So these are the 3 big asks, and I think we are on target to deliver some of the very, very ambitious numbers for 2026. I think the tone at the top has really helped. We have tried to do it in the past also as a good idea, but I think when the Prime Minister champions it, when the Finance Minister is sitting over there, when the Central Bank Governor, FBR, and all the key stakeholders are there, I think it moves beyond a good idea. It becomes into an imperative. And there is a dashboard that's looked upon, and whoever is red on the dashboard, and trust me, you don't want to be red on that thing, whoever is red on that dashboard is taken to task. So I think that's what we're doing, and I'm very proud to be part of this initiative. Our company in its humble ways, both from Jazz as a telecom operator, Jazz Cash as a fintech, and Mobilink Bank as a bank, are contributing to this agenda and driving it.
Aamir, we also want to know about what are the 3 barriers which are stopping right now you. We understand that this whole dynamics is working in that direction, but what is stopping as well?
Barriers are mostly in people's minds. So initially when you ask people to move from cash to digital, the first barrier is, do I trust it? Is it safe? Is it prone to fraud? At a retail level, when you go, some of the barriers are slightly different. They're afraid, quite honestly, about getting into the tax net. And it's not only about getting into the tax net. I think they're perhaps more concerned about how they will be treated by the taxman. I think that's the barrier. So in many of those who are familiar with banking and POS, point of sales equipments, we discussed this thing called merchant discount rate. So we have lowered the discount rate, so there is no barrier, no friction. So the financial viability for the low-end merchants has been taken care of. Even then, we feel and we sense some resistance, which is basically people try to avoid coming into the tax net. Now, paying taxes is a national obligation. People rationalize it by not paying, saying कि जी हमें हुकूमत ने वापस क्या दिया है, सड़कें भी टूटी हुई हैं, एजुकेशन भी मैंने अपनी खुद करनी है, हिफाजत भी खुद करनी है, अस्पताल के पैसे भी मैंने खुद देने हैं. So वो अपने आप को justify कर देते हैं कि यार मैंने taxes नहीं देने. Now that has to change. Technology alone can't do that. It is both a carrot and a stick. And I think once you start using those taxes to improve the lots of the masses, people will feel a little bit more confident. And also what I have suggested is कि जी टैक्स के जो रेट्स हैं वो आप थोड़े से कम करें और जो लीकेजेस हैं उनको बंद करें. So it's not really how much do you tax, are you effectively collecting the tax whatever exists? So that to me are the two biggest barriers. One was commercial, which we have taken care of by reducing the MDR rates. So there is literally no resistance for the merchants to get there. The second is a lot more deep-rooted, which is basically our approach towards getting into the documented economy.
I think Aamir raised a very valid point. It's important that government can set up this and the private sector can provide you all these tools, but at the end of the day, adoption is something that we need to do. And that adoption is not in the people in this room. I can tell you that almost 90% of the people in this room will be using this digital economy and the cashless economy, but it's about whom are the people we interact with, how we need to push them to that level that they start working on that digital economy, what Aamir is highlighting. And I think that that's very important that we play our part, because it's very easy all the time to blame the government, to blame the people. Okay, they don't have it. They are doing what they are doing. If Prime Minister is chairing a meeting for every 2 weeks, it shows the importance of that specific topic as well. Thank you very much, Aamir, for that one. Mujib, coming to you. Overall, in the finance minister's speech today, he again highlighted Pakistan is improving. People are investing. There is a lot of positive things that are happening. The infrastructure is absolutely improving. And then he also mentioned some of the companies are leaving as well. What are the things at this point of time in Pakistan? What is really important to get that in framework in Pakistan for the digital economy, and how the people can make sure, the companies can make sure that what they are investing in Pakistan is safeguarded as well. एक बहुत बड़ा इशू हमारा ये आता है कि जब हम कस्टमर ये देखता है कि कंपनी पैसे बनाने लगी है तो उसको लगता है कि ओहो मैंने तो नुकसान कर दिया, इस कंपनी को मार्जिन नहीं बनाना चाहिए था. और बाज़ का जब वो कंपनी मार्जिन बना ले तो गवर्नमेंट कहती है ओहो अब इसको टैक्स कर दो बिकॉज इसने तो मार्जिन बना लिया है. और जब हम अपने पर्सनल बिजनेसेस करते हैं, द ओनली थिंग दैट वी रन आफ्टर इज हाउ टू क्रिएट दैट मार्जिन. How that mindset can be changed as well.
Thank you, Saqib. Literally a multi-billion-dollar question. I'll try to take a stab at it. I think when we look at the macroeconomic environment in Pakistan, as well as the geopolitical environment globally, there are several factors that are impacting it. I'll speak maybe a little bit about that, and then I'll come to some more specifics, tools that globally economies and countries have used successfully to navigate through this macroeconomic as well as geopolitical landscape. Some might use the term landmine, but a landscape, let's stick with that, that we find ourselves in. I think we operate in an environment where volatility is a norm, both from a geopolitical standpoint as well as a macroeconomic standpoint. Any country that is able, through its policy making, stay consistent through this volatility and build resilience in their fundamentals over a period of time, we've seen examples over the last 8 to 12 months, has been able to come through it successfully. Pakistan has taken several steps, as demonstrated and benchmarked by various global institutions. I think a message of staying the course and increasing the pace of that reform is what we are also hearing from those same institutions. And that is going to be key over the next 12 to 24 months for Pakistan to be able to successfully navigate this geopolitical as well as macroeconomic volatility globally that we find ourselves in. Now, coming to the second part of perhaps what you were referring to, any investor, private capital markets have roughly anywhere between 5 to 6 trillion in credit being dispersed. This last year, private credit outpaced the credit availability from traditional institutions that organizations and countries were using previously. Both traditional markets, capital markets, as well as private markets, rely on standardized benchmarks and indices to assess a country or the companies operating in that country. Now, I'll give you two examples sort of specifically addressing what you refer to as the digital divide or digital infrastructure, and that's some of what Aamir was talking about from a infrastructure standpoint is also covered within that. One is what we call the sovereign risk indicators. This is a benchmark that S&P develops, but it is used by global institutions, the World Bank, the World Economic Forum, IMF, any other institutional investor looking at a country or companies within the country is going to look at such an indicator from S&P or from other providers. Now, what is covered in such an indicator? Besides your usual political risk, economic risk, more and more what we're seeing is emphasis because of technology, because of what Gen AI has been able to accomplish over the last 12 to 24 months. Digital infrastructure is playing a very, very critical role in how institutions as well as private markets are assessing the vitality and sort of effectiveness of a country from a risk investment standpoint. And same goes for companies that operate in that jurisprudence. A couple of factors that are covered in such indicators. Does the country have an effective digital policy? How digitized are services, government services in that country? How easy is it for businesses to use those digital services to conduct business, to meet compliance standards in that country? I will not go into the details of what the state of each of this is in Pakistan, but I think it is very important that we as business leaders and government policymakers understand that such measures are very, very important when it comes to attracting investment in the country and when it comes to attracting investment in companies operating in that country. One last example I will give is what we call a digital infrastructure credit assessment scorecard. This is implemented across 50 plus countries. And again, whether it is funds, whether it is institutional investors, they will look at tools like this to assess. We talk about data centers a lot. That's something where a lot of investment is happening in our region. Large entities like Google and Microsoft have invested in that space. One of the key drivers is access to energy for such investments, how that energy is being sourced. Do we have a policy that encourages investors globally in this space? So developing such frameworks that speak to these standards that are accepted and used globally is extremely critical if we are to take advantage of the billions of dollars that are being spent in this space.
Thank you very much, Mujib. And you rightfully pointed out on the digital infrastructure and which are the key factors that are required in any country to develop on that front. Aamir, coming back to you, I recently saw Jazz rebranded itself with Jazz World, bringing all these parameters together. Do tell us about what this rebranding means for the Jazz. And my second question in the same direction will be, and if I will not ask this question, it will not be fair with the audience as well, and that is about this 5G auction and the spectrum, what it means for the people, what it means for the companies who are going to deploy it, and what it means for the government. Are all these three directions seeing in the same lens, or everybody is working on their own direction and agenda? Difficult one. So need you to answer all three parameters there.
The second one is obviously more important and relevant to everybody, but let me take a minute to talk about Jazz World. The two things you need to remember. Jazz World is beyond telecom and beyond Pakistan. So as we have grown from being a monolithic telecom operator that was selling SIMs and building towers, we've gone into fintech, we've gone into banking, we're in entertainment, we're getting into health and education. So we now are approaching many different verticals at the back of serving our customers through the smartphone. And I wish that Musaddiq Sahab was here, because I could actually perhaps highlight that this is the biggest equalizer that we have. So when we talk about elite and non-elite, if you actually put a smartphone in a person's hand, you give them education, you give them commerce, you give them an opportunity to earn, and the means to learn. So I think the more we develop this particular ecosystem, we can actually undo years of infrastructure lagging behind. Somebody mentioned that we have 25 million kids out of school. We don't have enough time, we don't have enough bricks to bring them into becoming educated in the traditional manner. But the smartphones can do that. Internet can do that. A broadband in every home, a smartphone in every hand, a QR code in every shop is basically what digital Pakistan should really aspire to. Now, the second question, and we've been talking about digital infrastructure, behind everything that you do in a smart nation, and that is using technology, you need to have a robust digital infrastructure. It starts with connectivity, and these days it's broadband connectivity. You have a phone, you need to have robust, reliable, affordable internet, right? That's the basis of everything. Companies will move from being a finance company to a fintech, agriculture to agri-tech, and so on. So tech is not necessarily a sector anymore. It is a cross-sector enabler. This is the foundation, this is the electricity. You can call it many different things, different examples, but this is literally at the basis of everything that is going to build our country. Now, more specifically about 5G and spectrum, and on various occasions I've spoken about us being a spectrum-starved country. The quality of internet, which again is the foundation layer, is weak in Pakistan. And the reason why it is weak is that we don't have enough spectrum. So collectively, as a country, we have about 274 megahertz of spectrum, which is about 1/4 on a per individual basis compared to a country like Japan. So you just can't provide better services. They're just laws of physics that I can't undo with more investment. It's like you have a highway and there are more cars on that highway, they can't go very fast no matter what I do. Now you have to increase the width of that highway. This is what we've been asking for the government. And finally, like we have a spectrum auction coming up, which is in a month's time or so. I think we are now hoping to release another 600 megahertz, so that's almost twice as much as what the country has been given for the last 70 years. This is once in a decade kind of an opportunity, and I think with the right policy, and I've looked at the information memorandum, which is very progressive, very forward-leaning, I think the government, and I must give credit to them, have listened to our considerations, our feedback, and they have come up with a more progressive approach, which doesn't cash in on governmental receipts right at the beginning, but they see the benefit of what this digital infrastructure can do for every sector in this country. So it's taking a long-term approach. Now, more specifically about 5G and 4G, and these are also, things that sometimes vendors and telecom operators confuse customers with. What the customer wants is better internet. Yeah. They want the internet to work. Whether it has a 4G icon on the phone or 5G icon on the phone is some chest beating for telecom operators, right? What the customer wants is affordable, reliable, robust internet that works everywhere. So this is what the customer wants. The government sometimes wants upfront governmental value capture. This time, fortunately, they're taking a longer approach. So there's a lot of maturity in the way that they handle the spectrum. What the operators want is a viable business case. So I can't invest on infrastructure if there are no customers. That's where the problem with 5G comes in. Today, less than 2% of our customers in Pakistan have 5G handsets. So if I deploy a lot of 5G, which is very expensive, there is a super mismatch between what I'm going to invest and put into infrastructure compared to how the customers are going to be able to utilize. And then we don't want to be guilty of creating a network that once again appeals only to the elite. Now, who will have a 5G handset? It will be people like yourself and people sitting in this room. The students won't be able to do that because a 5G handset starts at 100,000 rupees. We're not importing enough. All the iPhones which are at 500, 600,000, they have. So the elite will be able to afford 5G, but the masses will not be. And this is what I've been pushing all along, that we need to, like many other countries, need to have an installment plan where, just like us asking the government that please, take money from me over an extended period of time that is commensurate with the benefits, the customers also want to pay for the handset over 24 months rather than 100,000 investment. And I think we are making some progress over there. Unlike many other places in the world, you would see that in Pakistan, operators don't sell handsets. There are no tariffs. Nobody else in the world actually goes and buys a $1,500 handset. They buy it over a period of 24 months. I'm very encouraged to see there's a lot of localized assembly over here. And I think once they see the demand, we have big brands being represented and assembled here in Pakistan. I see Taba Saab over here. His company has invested and doing a great job in building handsets. So I think we need to encourage that. We have a huge local demand, but at the right time, we will also start exporting that, which was the point that both Musaddiq Saab and Hassan Saab were making. So that is something that will benefit. But wrapping up on 5G, I think our focus should be on providing better internet services to all. The information memorandum, which has just come out from the government, is very progressive. With few minor tweaks, I think we really have this once in a decade kind of an opportunity where we can significantly improve the speeds, the services of 4G, and we can accelerate the adoption towards 5G. And if some of the last few recommendations that I have are accepted, there is no reason why I don't see Pakistan being 100% 5G in 5 years, but it requires a few more tweaks.
Good. Mujib, you wanted to add something?
I wanted to add on the connectivity piece. Besides the consumer aspect of it, I think there's a business and commercial angle which is very sizable to it as well. If you look at what's happening in the region and you compare connectivity in Pakistan, while we've come, I think, a long way over the last 5 to 10 years from an infrastructure standpoint when it comes to connectivity for businesses, there is regionally we still lack. So there is opportunity to invest in that space and make bandwidth, I think, at the right speeds, the right quality, and most importantly, the right cost. Commercial bandwidth today in Pakistan is still, if not the highest, one of the highest in the region, if not globally. And that's a deterrent for the technology sector, which is to date one of the fastest growing sectors, or from an exports perspective, CAGR of about 21, 22%. And to enable that, just like Aamir mentioned, for consumers, businesses want to continue to rely on fast, high quality, cost-effective internet. So I think the opportunity in investing in that infrastructure for the businesses is also there.
I think both of you highlighted the very right point over here, especially when Aamir highlighted about the right handsets to be available to get this overall technology utilized. You need to have the means and infrastructure that people and students can buy them. It's not only about the spectrum auction. It's about the end mile, how we can make that difference. And the second important thing, I think Pakistan gives the most cheapest internet all across the world. Let's be very honest. The kind of rates that we offer, and if you see whatever the rates that are offered in the developing and the developed countries, we don't acknowledge that one. We are ready to give Netflix 1,500 rupees per month. We are ready to give another 1,800 to Prime, and we are ready to give to Google. But we are not ready to give it to the internet, and we complain about it. I think the people sitting on this side of the table are trying to do a lot for the people, but we also need to realize to do our part and understand where we are standing in the global market as well. So I think very rightfully both the points were pointed out. Mujib, I'm coming to you and I will be putting a question about skill development. In every talk, everybody says we have 62% of the young population in Pakistan under the age of 30. We talk about we have a lot of labor. We talk about we have a services exports to do. But frankly speaking, how these people are getting skilled. We give the example of Vietnam, we give the example of Bangladesh, but what we are doing to make our people skillful today, both on the private sector and both on the public sector as well. Because if we are not doing it, we can keep on harping it, but we will not get the results.
Once again, I think this is a topic that gets spoken about at various platforms. We were having a conversation yesterday with a policy governance team that from Apple that was visiting, and they asked about skill availability as well, and talked about the fact that Pakistan, a lot of talent is finding global opportunities as well. So how do you balance those two things? I think you alluded to the fact that Pakistan has one of the largest under 25 soon to be employable population in the world. I think India and Indonesia are the other two countries that fall in that category. What we find from an employer standpoint, S&P Global has been operating in Pakistan for the last 20 years. We have roughly 16 to 1700 people. We are consumers of that product at a large scale. And when we interact with other employers, systems, whether it is other large companies from the technology sector, even smaller ones, I'm sure it's similar to in the telecom space as well, demand is still higher than what we get supplied with. I'm not talking about the number of graduates that is coming out of universities. I'm talking about employability of those graduates day one. At S&P, we have open roles all the time where we can't find talent. We have to go look at other locations around the world. Same is the use case, I'm sure, at Systems. I can name 5 other technology companies who share the same pain. What is happening? I think there are 2 challenges that have been spoken about a lot. I'll just quickly mention them and maybe talk a little bit about some solutions that have been deployed. Maybe we need to scale them a little bit. The 2 problems are academia continues to be, we were spending time yesterday with some top-tiered universities, both local and global, and we shared the same example with them. Academia is not able to respond to the rapid speed of advancement in technology and skills associated with that, which results in a significant gap when young people graduate and come out. They're not able to sort of compete with talent that is perhaps available globally as well. Some of this challenge is not limited to Pakistan. I will also qualify it by saying that, but it seems to be more pronounced in Pakistan. The second challenge is, Aamir spoke about this, every one of us has this ability to now learn new skills using the devices that are available to us. This mindset of self-learning is what we also perhaps need to more fundamentally focus on across the board, because we see young people not utilizing the tools that are available to them, skill development opportunities, learning opportunities that are available to them. There is a role that organizations can play. I can share our example. We work with universities and other institutions to run programs with people who are about to graduate that give them an opportunity to bring their skill set current to what current industry demand is. And those programs have proven to be extremely successful with we finding talent that meets the needs that an organization like ours have. Ours is also, I mean, we're doing it for the community, but we're doing it for very selfish reasons. We are the only large information services provider in the country. We're very fortunate that we've had a couple of others start their operations in Pakistan recently as well. But still, we're the largest. So in our space, we have to find and build that skill set, and that's why we do this. But it serves a broader use case because those skills can be utilized by multiple entities and companies. I'm looking at the time as well. I'll very quickly, an intervention from the government that proved to be very, very successful was this boot camp that was done for 4,000 people last year. It was an industry and government partnership. The training programs were industry-led. Fantastic initiative. And if we can scale that, that's how, we're not the only ones facing the problem. We're not the only ones solving for it. That's how other countries in the region have solved for this problem. We need to scale that program to give our people the skills that makes them employable quickly. The demand is there. The demand is there locally. Demand is there globally. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to serve it.
Thank you very much, Mujib. And you rightfully pointed out very important point, academia. Students that are coming out, are they ready for the job that is required by the industry? And let me be very honest, there is a gap in this one, a big gap. We all are talking about the end miles, but this gap, especially about the skillful resources that we are talking about, if I see it, it's not being right now taken care the way that all the other topics are taken care. So I think this is one very important aspect over here. We are almost on the time. I will have one out of the course question that I will ask. Zarara is not there, so I have to put that question to you guys one by one. Aamir, 1 minute only on that one. If you are being put in the position of Prime Minister today, what 2 changes that you will make today to make sure that the industry is able to get the results that you want to see? Changes.
Why do you want me to get fired? We were invited by the Prime Minister a few weeks ago, different CEOs and owners of businesses. We've already alluded to it. I think I would double down on the focus on execution. We're over-glamorizing strategy and over-analyzing what happened, what needs to happen, etc., etc. We just need to get down to doing it. Okay. So I will do only one thing, which is, and I will set a mantra, execute or be executed.
I think you put it the best way over it. Execute and be executed.
That can't be, you can't top up that. I would just say, number one, absolutely execution. We have brilliant plans from, you name the top consulting organizations in the world. We have a export priority sector plan from IFC. We have plans from McKinsey. We have plans from PwC. Everybody and their grandmother has given us a recovery and strategy plan. It's great, as Aamir alluded to as well. We are executing in a lot of areas. Let's increase the pace of that execution. And the second thing I would say, technology is an equalizer. We have a humongous opportunity, and it has to be led from the front, has to be a strategic area of focus for us. I know we have 7, maybe we should have 3, technology being one of them. And there is so much funding and investment and opportunity available globally that other countries in our region, like Malaysia, our neighbors to the east, are utilizing. There's enough of the pie for everybody to have. No reason why we shouldn't take some of it as well.
Thank you very much, Mujib. I think you didn't execute it within the time, so you need to get executed for that one. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think the talk was clear. It's all about what each of us has to play our role on this one. Government has their own role, private sector has their own role, and the people who are sitting in this room and the people whom we are representing as a company, as an individual, and as the masses as well. I think we need to adopt to these changes. I think if I have to get 2 or 3 important points out, I will just say the point that Mujib also highlighted about self-awareness, self-correction, and self-learning. Sometimes with the white hair, we think we know everything. No, we don't know everything. We need to learn, relearn, and learn again. Please make sure that in every age we get this mantra right. And the point that Aamir highlighted about, either in every role that the people are sitting in this room, execute the plan. Don't overthink now the policy and the strategy. Because if we are not doing it, we will just be at the same place where we are today. Thank you very much.
I would like Mr.